This might be the most toxic, depressing, and sadistic episode of television I've seen for a long time. For those of you unaware, Glitch have just dropped their latest episode in the amazing digital Circus saga with Everyone Has Guns, and I just went through a major emotional roller coaster by watching this episode, so we need to talk about it. Hey guys, it's the Pink King here, and I was not lying when I said that this episode has to be one of the most, if not the most horrific episodes I've seen in a long time. Not just from Digital Circus, but any TV show in general, with what started out as a seemingly meaningless plot about characters essentially doing a battle royale, eventually hitting us like a brick wall with emotional drama. I swear, this episode was on a mission to make you take everything you know about the show already and throw it out the window because everything here is pretty much a lie. Man, where do I even begin? There was so much going on here that I'm genuinely struggling to think about what was the biggest moment of the episode, because there were just so many highlights. But if I had to pick one to start off with, let's start with Jax. In my last video about Digital Circus, I went over how the writers were redeeming Jax and proving me wrong about him as a character, as we slowly started getting more and more engaged with him, with more of his origin and personality being revealed to us, showing that his character is far more engaging beyond the surface level. And you know what? They kept that streak up here, with the start of the episode still showing Jax as a jerk, but still humanizing him with his almost sister and brotherly dynamic with Pomni, who was an absolute treat, by the way, in this episode. I love this little gremlin. But what I did not expect was for them to suddenly pull the rug out from underneath us with that genuinely disturbing ending. My god, that ending. The way Jax unnervingly loses any and all emotion and then suddenly explodes on Pomni in a burst of rage only to go back to no emotion was genuinely kinda hard to watch in all the right ways. I swear, the writing in this episode was beyond brilliant, not only with Jax and Pomni's dynamic, but even with people like Ragatha, who was the only character now to not get any major development, has now gotten a whole lot more insight into them and the way they work, that it was genuinely really sad to watch unfold. And it was something that we don't see a lot covered in shows like this, and that sort of toxic positivity with how people try so hard to be nice only to end up hurting themselves and others by doing so. There can be too much of one thing, too much negativity and too much positivity. It was a genuinely tender moment, and even Zubul and Gangle's dynamic was well handled here. In fact, that's just what this episode was in a nutshell, well handled. There was so many things going on, but none of it dragged or went by too fast. This episode managed to juggle all this heavy emotion in a way that felt truly balanced and well executed. Because say what you want about Glitch and their other projects, they know how to make heavy moments hit emotionally. They like to pull you in with a lot of good comedic moments, well-timed gags, and funny characters, making you think it's going to be just an average, crude, meaningless humor sort of show, but then it hits you with intense moments like these, where the music will just suddenly stop playing, and the characters are just left to essentially talk to one another, be people. And the reason it works just so well here is that contrast. One moment, it feels like they're in a cartoon and they're just silly cartoon characters going about their business. But then they suddenly stop and they show us, oh no, they are actually real people with real emotions, and it's not all as simple as black and white. There's so much grey going on here, and it's not all simple either. There's a lot of dark and heavy, unpredictable moments, and to me, this was probably the most human episode of the show so far. Now hold on peeps, do you want to be featured in a video? Just like the wonderful MAF Studios, TG Stuff, and Super Nexus? Then all you need to do right now is subscribe. I'm on a mission to overtake Slime the Scrabble, but I need your help in order to do so. So, if you want to help the cause, then click subscribe right now and comment down below telling me you subscribed, and who knows, your name might be the next one featured in a future video. But with that, let's get back into the digital circus. I don't know what Gooseworks and the team at Glitch are smoking, but gimme. Because this level of writing, simply put, should not be possible at this level. To have something so well put together and naturally chaotic should not be possible on this level of TV, but here it is. It really puts to shame a lot of the more professional industry and animation nowadays, doesn't it? The fact that not only an independent creator can now create shows, but they can do it a whole lot better than people who have spent decades within the industry. It really just goes to show that the professional animation space has really lost its edge in a lot of ways, with only a few real gems now amongst all the rough slop. And the improvement from Glitch here is incredible. Watching where they began with SMG4 to this now is, no word of a lie, genuinely incredible and really inspirational. This episode is possibly the most well put together thing Glitch have ever done. I don't know if it's just recency bias, but when I'm trying to think of any potential flaws with this episode, my mind, it just goes completely blank, because I genuinely cannot think of anything that I felt was weak or didn't work with this episode. The only real issue you could probably make is to say that it was a bit overwhelming, with it tackling so many heavy topics all in one episode, but to me at least, I feel like they handled it with such grace and dignity that it doesn't matter. But before this video goes on for 4 hours straight about how much I love the writing, let's talk about the animation also here, because while this is probably the most tamed animation in a while, the character animation here was pretty much flawless. They got across so many emotions, so many inner struggles, so many conflicts, just with the facial expressions alone. Like, I swear, you could mute the entire episode and still understand everything going on with the characters. It's just that good. These animators, man, they know what to do. They go over the top when they need to, and they know when to restrain themselves, and that's probably the most freakiest part about this entire episode. That was the restraint, the lack of certain things, the fact that it can go from majorly over the top 1 second to completely still is genuinely unnerving. And that sort of uncomfortable nature is why I loved this episode so much. It's not afraid to make me feel uncomfortable and squeamish at certain things, because in order to get the impact that they want, they are willing to make the audience feel uncomfortable, and they are willing to make the characters look bad. Also, I don't know about you guys, but I think this episode just dropped an absolute bombshell on us with the Kinga butterfly scene. With Kinga just saying he made it up, it's making me wonder, are the characters just like Kane? Do they all have the same abilities to mess around with the world and to bend it to their will, but only Kane is the one that figured it out? I don't know, I feel like with the Kinga butterfly scene and Ragatha reversing Jax's gunshot out of nowhere and Pomni being able to automatically aim, I'm starting to wonder whether we're being lied to here by Glitch and Gooseworks, and the characters actually have far more control on this world than they're letting on. You know an episode is doing its job right when it's making me want to know more about its world and lore. Overall, this episode was probably the strongest one they've done so far. I don't know how they keep upping the levels both visually and writing wise, because man, how do you improve upon this? This might be the peak of their abilities so far. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments what you guys thought of this episode in particular, and what your personal theories are coming out of it. I'm very interested to see what you guys have to say, because I want to analyze this episode more in the future. And if you guys would like to see me do that, then be sure to like this video, because doing so not only tells me you enjoyed this video, but you want to see more stuff just like this in the future. So, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and with that, peeps, It's been the Pink King here, and I will see you all next time.